श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम् ॐ सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय कृष्णाय क्लिष्टकारिणे नमो वेदान्तवेद्याय गुरवे बुद्धिसाक्षिणे. So yesterday we were seeing this 12th shloka. We'll start with that again. Chant. Tasya lokapradhanasya jagannāthasya bhūpate vishnor nama sahasram me shRRiNu papa bhayapaham. Okay, so here only one change, bhūpate. See, lokapradhanasya jagannathasya bhūpate. Bhūpate, that word, they have the same meaning. Lokanatha, jagannatha, lokapradhana, bhūpate, they all have same meaning. Only difference is this bhūpate is vocative. He is calling, hey Bhupate, O King Yudhishthira, understand this. For this greatness of this Jagannatha, this Lokapradhana, this Vishnu, his 1,000 names. Okay, which is, if you listen to it carefully, it destroys your papa and bhaya. It destroys your sin and fear. Okay. So while explaining this in Tamil, I used a story, an anecdote from my disciples. I had, when I was in Rishikesh, I had a problem of throat infection. I normally have this problem of throat infection if I drink cold things and all. So I had throat infection, and throat infection, it goes to become a complicated thing. It completely makes me useless, kind of. Okay. So my disciple came to me and asked, do you want something? I said, can you bring me erythromycin? Just buy me one 4-5 tablets. That's enough. Now, please give it to me in writing. I said, no. I am not going to give it to writing. I don't have the strength. Just remember erythromycin. No, I'll forget, he said. So I told him, eri, the word eri in Tamil means to throw. Okay, eri, throw. Eri, throw. Why do I have disease? Disease because my sin. So I want you to bring eri, matlab eri means throw. Eri, throw my sin. And he said, I will not forget even in my next life. Probably he took another life. He is no more now. He might not forget it even in this life. So erythromycin, that's the story I said. Now we discussed about the synonyms and the name, etc., the reasons for that. Now ekasyaiva samastasya brahmaNo dvijasattama nAmnAM sahasram lokAnamupakArakaraM shRRiNu. ekasyaiva samastasya brahmaNaH he dvijasattama nAmnAM sahasram lokAnamupakArakararam shRRiNu. That one, he dvijasattama. Dvijasattama. Sattama means great. Dvija means twice born. One who is great among the twice born. Ekasyaiva samastasya brahmaNaH nAmnAM sahasram. Only one Brahman is there. For that one Brahman, there are 1,000 names, which are lokAnAmupakArakararam, which are beneficial, which gives better results, or which are beneficial for the worldly people, for the people of the world. Listen to that. Okay. Nimittasaktayo, why do you have to have 1,000 names for one thing? We discuss about this. Because if it is one, and there can be only one name, if at all there is a name, there can be one name, and with that name itself, that is taken care of. Whatever result is going to be gained through that is taken care of. Why do you need the other names? For that we say nimittasaktayo nAmnAM bhedinyastadudIraNat vibhinnAnyeva sAdhyante phalAni dvijasattama. Nimittashaktayo nAmnAM bhedinyah tadudIraNat vibhinnAnyeva sAdhyante phalAni he dvijasattama. Again he is calling him dvijasattama. This is from a different text, not Yudhishthira. Dvijasattama means great among the twice born. Oh, you Brahmin, listen to this. Nimittashaktaya nAmnAM bhedinyah. The different bhedinyah means differentiator. The differentiator among the names is the nimittashakti, the instrumental power in it. A word has an instrumental power. That is the key factor which differentiates one name from the other. Okay. How do you know this? Tadudhiranat, it is said. It is accepted in the world like that by great people. vibhinnAnyeva sAdhyante phalAni. And with vibhinnAnyeva phalAni sAdhyante. And because of these different powers in these different words, they give different results also. It is also said. I said yesterday with the rule of Purumimsa, nama bhedat phala bhedah. Because there is a difference in name, there is a difference in result. Okay? Now, yachChakti nama yattasya tattasminneva vastuni sAdhakaM puruShavyAghra saumye krUreShu vastuShu yachChakti nama yad tasya yachChakti nama yad tasya tattasminneva vastuni sAdhakaM. He puruShavyAghra saumye krUreShu vastuShu. He puruShavyAghra, he is calling him. He puruShavyAghra, lion among the men, you greatest among the men. Whatever is the power for that word, whatever is accepted power for that word, and that word is used only with respect to those particular objects. It establishes those particular objects which is seen in the soft or very harsh. krUra means very harsh. Harsh kind of objects. Soft, hard objects. It is seen. Iti viShNudharma. These are the statements from slokas from viShNudharma to establish the reasons for multiple names for the same object, the same self. Okay. Now, the bhashya for the 12th mantra completes with this. Now, the 13th shloka, the final shloka in this introduction, yadyapi, he is giving an introduction to that shloka. yadyapi nama parasya brahmaNaH ShaShThIguNakriyAjAtirUDhInAM shabdapravRRittihetubhUtAnAm nimittashaktayo chAsambhavaH. So he says, yadyapi parasya brahmaNaH chAsambhavaH. Let us take it like that. Though, yadyapi means though, parasya brahmaNaH chAsambhavaH, it is impossible for the supreme absolute self. Parasya brahmaNaH means absolute self. It is impossible for the absolute self. What is impossible for the absolute self? He says, ShaShThIguNakriyAjAtirUDhInAM shabdapravRRittihetubhUtAnAM. The means for differentiating the activities through the words, the strength which the word has to differentiate the activities, differentiate the meaning. What are they? Shashti, the association. Rama's pen, Krishna's cloth. There is an association. So that differentiates the objects. Then guna, the black, blue, etc. colors, attributes. Kriya, activity. He is eating, he is drinking, he is walking, he is sitting. Activity differentiates. Jati, class. Class also differentiates. Cowness, goatness, etc. Class also differentiates. RRUDhInAM. RRUDhi means the fixed word, the fixed meaning for the word, which is accepted commonly. Pot means an object which is useful for storing water, etc. That is the idea. Okay. So, kambu-grivadimatvam, we define it as kambu-grivadimatvam, one which has a neck and a pot belly, a belly, which can be used for storing. That is what is the definition for pot. Now, these kind of things means to differentiate an object, one thing from another, does not exist in the absolute self. A. Nimittashaktayo chAsambhavaH. And the nimittashakti which you said, that is also the instrumental power to differentiate one word from the other, the one activity from the other, that is also not existent in the absolute self, because absolute self is one. Then why do you have to explain 1,000 names? He says, tathapi, even though it may be so, still, sagune brahmani savikare cha, sagune brahmani savikare brahmani cha. Saguna Brahma, attributed self, savikare. Vikara means transformation. Transformation self. The self which has undergone transformation and the self which has attributes. The self with form and the self with attributes. Okay? Cha sarvatmakatvat is everything. Is a general one. Therefore, it is everywhere, in everything. Therefore, tesham shabdapravRRittihetubhUtAnAM sambhavata. There, the means, the shabdapravRRittihetubhUtAnAM, the means for the words to differentiate one from the other is possible. Like this sixth case, the association, the class, the attribute, etc. are possible in the attributed and the transformation self. Okay, transformed self. Sarve shabdaha parasmin pumsi parvartate. But you understand, all the words lead to the same self. Any word which you say does not differentiate. They all indirectly refer to the self. We have direct meaning and indirect meaning. The word meaning and implied meaning. Every word has an implied meaning of self. Okay. So there is no issue here in accepting multiple names for this self. Tatra. There. Now we see the shloka. Yani namani gaunani. Yani namani gaunani. Yani namani gaunani. Yani namani gaunani. Vikhyatani mahatmanaha. Vikhyatani mahatmanaha. Vikhyatani mahatmanaha. Vikhyatani mahatmanaha. Again. Yani namani gaunani. Vikhyatani mahatmanaha. Yani namani gaunani. Vikhyatani mahatmanaha. Rishibhihi parigitani. Rishibhih parigitani. Rishibhih parigitani. Rishibhih parigitani. Tani vakshyami bhutaye. Tani vakshyami bhutaye. Tani vakshyami bhutaye. Tani vakshyami bhutaye. Rishibhih parigitani. Tani vakshyami bhutaye. Rishibhih parigitani. Tani vakshyami bhutaye. From the beginning. Yani namani gaunani. Vikhyatani mahatmanaha. Rishibhih parigitani. Tani vakshyami bhutaye. Yani namani gaunani. Vikhyatani mahatmanaha. Rishibhih parigitani. Tani vakshyami bhutaye. Okay. Like always, we'll understand the general meaning. Yani namani gaunani vikhyatani cha mahatmanaha. Of that self, whatever names which are secondary, gaunani, which are secondary or with attributes, vikhyatani, which are famous, attributeless, Rishibhih parigitani, which are famous because they are said by, they are sung by the great rishis in the Vedas. Tani vakshyami bhutaye. I am going to explain them. I am going to tell them for what? Bhutaye, for glory, for greatness. Okay. Now, before entering the bhashya, as promised, I have to see the Parashara Bhatta for this. Why Parashara Bhatta for this specifically? Because in the 10th mantra, we saw Bhagavan Bhashyakara went on to write pages to establish the non-duality, that this Vishnu Sahasranama is talking about the non-dual self. Okay. Now, here in this 13th mantra, the final mantra of this part, this introduction part, Parashara Bhatta, the semi-dualist, he is condemning, not establishing semi-duality, he is condemning Advaita. See, for us, if we condemn Dvaita, the duality, Advaita is established. We don't need to do establish Advaita. For them, they have to establish duality. It is not just enough if they condemn the non-duality. That is the difference. Okay. So, what do we say? Okay, you say Saguna Brahma, Nirguna Brahma. Saguna Brahma is the different names for 1,000 names we have written just to gain the glory, because for people to be benefited, right? Okay, let me ask you questions. So, this is what is the question. Astu iyam Saguna Brahma Vidya Arvachina phalāಧಿಕಾರಿಣಾಂ Nirguna Brahma Vidya anta mokshanāmeva iti chet. So, if you say, the opponent, the Vedanti, if you say, see, this Saguna Brahma Vidya is for people who want Arvachina Phala, means the lower results. For people who want lower results, this Saguna Brahma, the attributed self, is explained. But for mumukshunam, for people who want the absolute self, nirguna vidya, this non-attributed, unattributed self, the knowledge of unattributed self is the only means. Understand? So the Vedanti says, if you want to gain any result, any other result other than moksha or liberation, you worship the attributed self. If you want the liberation, you worship, you meditate upon only the unattributed self. That is for unattributed self, for people who desire liberation. If you say, then dhingmam badhiram, dhingmam badhiram, you deaf. You know, in today's world, if you use any word, anything can be hurting. Okay, you have a beautiful eyes, that can hurt. You don't have eyes, that can hurt. You can see only partial, that can hurt. Anything, you say something that hurts another person, that's a bigger problem here. Now here he says, dhingma badhiram, you deaf, to fly upon you, you deaf. Why are you calling me deaf? Because hāṣya-12-13, in this very text, it is said very clearly. What was said? Muchyate jantu janma samsara bandhanat. We saw this. Muchyate jantu. If one chants this, jantu janma samsara bandhanat muchyate. This being, he gets liberated from the samsara of birth and death, birth and bondage. Okay. Now that is condemned. The next one, saguna nirguna artha iti ma cha vachalah vochatha. Don't say. You blabberer. Vachalah means a person who speaks a lot. You blabberer. Vochata. Don't argue. Why? What? Saguna nirgunartha. This attributed self, we are talking about attributed self for the sake of gaining the unattributed. Don't speak like that uselessly. Why? Viruddhartayoho yasmad upayopeta dvayoho. They are contradictory to each other. Attributed and unattributed are contradictory to each other. Therefore, unattributed cannot be means for gaining the unattributed goal. There is no means and end association here. So, attributed cannot be your means for the end of unattributed. Okay, condemned. Next. Apicha, moreover, nirgunasya kim moolam gunapratitehe. This is a beautiful question. Now, let me ask. You have been saying this, that. Let me ask you as direct question. What is the question? What is the reason for the unattributed self to gain attributes? We know the answer. Sacha avidya iti chet. You will say, avidya? Very good. Congratulations. Wait. Now, let me explain why it is not possible for the ignorance to be the cause for the unattributed to become attributed. Why? Jani, mriti, mohadi, bhavadosha, visha, murchitasya, mumurshoho, paramabheshajam brahmaNaH. Greatest medicine. Paramabheshajam means the superior, the greatest medicine is Brahman. For what? For a person who is deluded by the birth and death cycle, etc. For him, the greatest medicine is a self. Okay, we accept that. True. Now, okay. Avidya brahmadi ashesha doshaspadam anagrata gunakanikam cha iti manoharamidam. And that very Brahman itself, you say, has a all is the cause for what I say? Avidya brahmadi ashesha doshaspadam is the cause for, is the substratum, is the base for all the defects of ignorance, etc. Okay, not just that. And anagrata gunakanikam cha, and it does not have even an iota of, even a bit of good quality. Nirgunam, you say, right? So nirgunam means without any attribute, without any good qualities. Brahman which has no good qualities and a Brahman which is deluded, you are talking, that to get rid of, that to give you liberation, to get rid of your bondage. How is it possible? No, you didn't understand. What did I understand? Not understand. Brahma doshoho mrisha, the defect of the Brahman, the ignorance which we said, the defect, which is a defect there in Brahman, that is mrisha, that's non-real, that's illusory. Iti chet, if you say, then nairgunyam cha mrishamatam, then you are accepting that the attributeless state is a lie. It's a lie. Meaning, what do you want to say? If you say the Brahman has no defects is lie, then Brahman has defects. If you say the Brahman has defects is a lie, then there can be no attributes. There can be no attributes. So, he say, Nairdosha sagunatvecha te satya. If you accept the attributed state as a real, which you cannot digest. You won't desire that. So, it is impossible. See, is the attributed state real or unreal? If you say unreal, then the attributeless state is unreal, then Brahman becomes attributed. Okay. If you say the defectless state is unreal, then it becomes one endowed with defects. So, which is impossible for you to digest. That is negated. Okay. Next. Ignorance, you said. Okay. Let me come to that. The cause for all this is ignorance, right? Okay. Kova Brahma Vidyam Imam Upahanyat. Who will destroy this ignorance of self? Who will destroy it? What will destroy it? What destroys the ignorance of the self? Advaita brahmaNishta iti chet. Being established in the non-duality, that destroys the ignorance. If you say, then idam tatopi manoharam, this is more beautiful than that, whatever you said. Why? Yedu param brahma babbrahmiti samsari tat uttarayati. Because you said the Brahman becomes deluded and it roams, and this fellow, this samsara, this samsari, this fellow in samsara should take care of it. Should get it, make it escape from that bondage, etc. This is a very beautiful. Okay. Now, apicha. Moreover, I am not giving up the gunas. I am coming to that. Saguna vakyam kasya hetoho nirathakam. Why do you say that the attributed self statements, the statements which explain the attributed self are meaningless? What is the reason you give to establish the statements establishing attributed self are meaningless? Nirguna vakya vadana. Because it is negated by the statements of unattributed self. Right? So, there is statements of attributed self and there is statement of unattributed self. This unattributed self negates the attributed self. That is what you accept, right? Fine. Iti chet, if you say, then Viparitam kasmat nasyat, why should you not accept it in inverse? Because there is a statement of attributed self, the unattributed self gets negated. The statements of unattributed self get negated. Why don't you accept it? How can you accept it? Why can you not? Because saumye hi ubayoho brahmaNaM virodascha. Because both are from Vedas, both are Vedic statements. They have equal validity. Second, the contradiction also is equal. If the attributed self contradicts unattributed self, unattributed self at the same time contradicts the attributed self. There is an equivalent contradiction here. Okay. Because sometimes we can have a contradiction, but that it need not be equivalent. I can have a contradiction with the king. The king can have contradiction with me, but this contradiction is not same. My contradiction may be bigger and his contradiction may be very small. This fellow, leave it. Or just because I am a nobody, the king will take it a very serious thing. For me, the king is king, so I will take it a little lighter. But for the king, nobody is talking about me. How can? So that can be a very dangerous thing. There can be unequal state of a contradiction, but here there is not. There is an equal state of contradiction. Okay. Moreover, I'll come to another point. Gunaschet nishedhavyaha. Kim tapasminnyaha gunashrutya. Okay. If you say the attributes are to be negated, then why should the Veda establish the attributes? Oh, that you didn't understand. Okay, I'll explain. Pratishedhya guna prasanchikasa. Establishment of these attributes are for the sake of pratishedha, for negation later. If you say, then ma bhut pratishedyam, why should you negate? If you have established it, why should you negate it? Nahi aprasaktam prasajya tadeva pratishedetu shastramiti kachit lalatapatte lipihi. Because there is nothing written on your head, meaning a very strong statement. No, you should not. There is nothing. There is no rule. It's not a fate. Lalatapatte lipi means it's not a fate that whatever is not there, that should be first superimposed, and that whatever is superimposed should be negated by the Shastra. What is this? Non-existent should be established first, and then it should be established again that it is non-existent. What is this stupidity? Because there is a rule, but in contradiction there is a rule. There is a normal common sense. What is the common sense? Prakshalanadhi pankasya durad asparshanam varam. This is a very famous statement. Prakshalanadhi pankasya durad asparshanam varam. Instead of washing off the dirt, washing off the filth, it is better to not be associated from far off. Like while you are walking, there is a ditch, a sewer. There is a stone close by. You throw the stone inside. What happens? The sewer water, the sewage water splashes, and it dirties your dress. What you will have to do? You will have to wash your dress. Why do you have to throw the stone inside, get splashed, and then wash it? Instead of that, better is just avoid it. Avoid superimposing the stupid idea that it has this and that and all that. Okay. Moreover, then what is the attributes and why? Then why should the Shruti say the nirguna and saguna, etc.? I'll explain that. He says, Atra iyam tattvida vyavastha. This is what the people who have knowledge have established. Jnana shaktyadi shrutihi kalyana guna vishaya. When you say saguna, attributed, the self is attributed means it is attributed with kalyana gunaha. Sakala kalyana gunaha. All the auspicious attributes. Like the knowledge, like the Shakti, the power, like the Aishwarya, the glory, etc. All these great, good, beautiful, nice, auspicious attributes it is endowed with. That is what Saguna means. And what does Nirguna mean? Nirguna means Nirguna Shruti Ragadveshadi Vishaya. Nirguna Shruti negates the attributes like desire, hatred, etc. Saguna means it establishes the greatness of Vishnu by saying he is endowed with all the good qualities. Nirguna means unattributed, means he is not associated with any of these bad attributes. That is what it is. Nothing else. Okay. So only by worshipping Vishnu you will get liberated. That is what his end idea is. We will see this. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.